For the past week, I've been trying to figure out what I'm going to say in this video about the protests and the death of George Floyd, and there's so much that I could say, so much that I've been thinking about, but I am really worried about saying the wrong thing, and I don't mean getting in trouble, although I am worried about that. I'm just worried that I'm wrong, and it's such a sensitive topic that I wouldn't like to spread my wrong thoughts to anyone else, like to give anyone the wrong idea, to make things worse, even in a minute kind of way. So I'm sorry if you're watching this video hoping that I'm going to come out strong for either the side of the protesters or for the kind of anti-protesters. Instead, I just want to make one small point about the kind of meta phenomenon, as you could call it. Of course, all of these issues go back a very long way, but this particular incident started with a video of the death of George Floyd, or rather the arrest of George Floyd, and the news that he later died. And since then, we've been seeing a lot of videos of the protests, the riots, the lootings, the fires, everything that has come after that has been documented, and much of it in the form of videos, short clips that are shared on Twitter. And it got me thinking about the power of these clips, the power of video to speak directly to your gut emotions. There's something so visceral about seeing something with your own eyes that written communication can only kind of emulate. There's, of course, written communication has its own kind of beauty and its own strengths and weaknesses, but I think there is something unique about living in a time where we can easily capture video using devices that pretty much everyone carries in their pockets, and we can all watch those videos instantly around the world. You can spread a video clip very quickly if people are sharing it. And I think it gives the viewer, the person who watches a video clip, an impression that they witnessed this event themselves. The emotional impact of seeing it is maybe not identical, but almost like you were there and you saw this happening. And I think that ends up being a lot more powerful than just reading a dry written account of the events. Even if you read a very well-written, colourful account of the events, I don't mean colourful like it's full of lies, I mean it's very well described. A really good work of fiction it can make you feel like you're in the position of the narrator or of a spectator. But when you read descriptions like that of real life events, it's very easy to feel kind of skeptical, or to feel like it's possible that a lot of these are embellishments or exaggerations. But when you see a video, there's no embellishment, there's no exaggeration. You're seeing plain as day, as if you were there, what happens, except when you don't. I remember ages ago, like a year ago, there was a video clip of this. It was a dash cam. You've probably seen these dash cam videos taken from the front of a car. The people install these cameras that just run all the time when the car's on, pointing out of the windscreen so that you see what the driver sees, mostly, the forward view. And this video showed a guy going into the back of a motorcycle. And it looks like this guy just went straight for this motorcyclist and knocked him down. And it looks like this driver was just being completely reckless, or maybe even wanted to hit this motorcyclist. But when you see the full clip, just 3 seconds before that, you see that the motorcyclist was going really fast, and then suddenly put on the brakes. So he started going a lot slower, and the car had to hit him because he'd suddenly, hit the brakes suddenly in front of him. And it completely changes the whole narrative of that video. And that was just a clip that was shared, just randomly as a kind of interesting thing. The person posting it wasn't making a point about it or anything. It was just, it kind of stuck with me how different the few seconds preceding the clip really were. And I kind of view all clips in that way now. I try to be a little bit more mindful about how the clip has been cut together. And in fact, I have not even seen the infamous clip of the arrest of George Floyd because I'm so skeptical of seeing video now. I don't. You may think that it's stupid to not keep myself informed about, what all the fuss is about and what's going on, but I think I'd rather just read a description of everything that happened, not just a description of the video, but the what we know about everything that happened to this guy. I'd rather just know the facts than to see a video of it that is so visceral in its power and yet so easy to manipulate. What I'm saying is, when you watch a video clip and use that to form your decision, to form your opinion about something, you're giving a lot of priority to the information you got from that clip and deprioritizing all of the other information about the context and about the wider scope of the subject. The few seconds that happen to be caught on video are given a massive importance relatively to the rest of the rest of that situation, and also to all of the other situations that weren't caught on camera, that happened not to be filmed, or that were filmed but happened not to come under your eyes. I mean, you have to some extent, only use the information you have. We can't have all of the information all of the time. But I think it's unfortunate that a lot of people who are injured or killed by the police happen not to be caught on camera. When it comes to the protests, the footage of people peacefully protesting is obviously not as interesting. It's not going to get shared quite as much as images and video of protesters misbehaving. I'm not saying that means we shouldn't look at the misbehavior of the protesters. I'm just saying that there's a bias there. There's a how interesting is this to watch bias for all events. The videos are not reality. You can't see. I have no idea how violent or peaceful the protests were. It could be that every clip that I've seen is the complete archive of every violent incident that happened during these protests, or it could be that is just the tip of the iceberg and a lot of it wasn't even filmed. And I don't know if the violence that was being filmed was incited by the protesters or by the police. It really just depends on who you listen to in this case. And I'm not completely naive. I do have my own opinions about who is right and who is wrong in this situation, but I really just don't feel like commenting on that right now. I'd rather just ask that people try to use their common sense a little bit, try to have a little bit of an open mind and maybe even have some compassion for other people. I'm really sick of seeing all of the people pointing fingers and all of the just anger, all the frustration. I've seen a lot of comments on social media saying that anyone commenting on these events, on these protests and everything surrounding it, if you don't explicitly say that you are supportive of Black Lives Matter, of racial equality, that it's as good as an endorsement of racism, basically. To be honest, I think that's a pretty unreasonable demand, although people try to dress it up like they're not asking for much. They're just, asking for you to put a hashtag Black Lives Matter at the end of your post. I think that we should expect the best of other people. We should see other people as the best way that we possibly could, to be charitable when we talk to others, not to assume that they're racist until they say otherwise. When making a claim about reality and in a debate setting, there's a concept called the burden of proof, where the person who is making the claim is the one who has to support it with evidence. You can't demand that somebody bring evidence to contradict you. You are the one who has to convince the other person. And I think a similar kind of principle applies here. If you think that someone's racist, you should have evidence to support that claim. You can't ask somebody to produce evidence to prove that they are not racist, to ask somebody to proclaim themselves to be a good person, to be virtuous, and to be egalitarian. I want to live in a world where we see each other that way by default. Just assume the person you're talking to is a good person until they give you reason to suspect otherwise. I expect the comment section on this video will be kind of crazy, so I'm not going to ask you to leave comments as I usually do, because you will if you want to. But I will thank you for watching, and wish you the very best of days ahead of you. And maybe I'll even find something uplifting to put at the end of this video. See ya.